All right, a good week two. This is our lineup review. Let's talk DFS right now here. Going to go over some of my lineups. I'm going to bring up SuperDraft too because I also did SuperDraft even though it's not listed. I don't get any royalties or any money from SuperDraft, but I love it. If you haven't played it, it's a multiplier, and you can see I've actually had success here. So I'll just show you. I played a couple cash games yesterday. I do smaller cash game size leagues. I don't like to do 100 anymore. I don't like to do 50 anymore because there's so many multiple lineups. And I feel like if you do smaller ones, and I'm doing that on DraftKings, you don't get as many duplicate lineups. So just a quick tutorial. So with DraftKings, with SuperDraft, there's no salary cap. It's based on a multiplier. So this was my cash game lineup. Was pretty good. So you can, the better the player, the lower multiplier. So for instance, yesterday, who was a good play? You could see for cash games, the multipliers go even up more. Carson and Harris both at home. I like those spots. So what you get tempted into is taking, and we'll go with the winning lineup, a player with a high multiplier like Mike Williams, 1.6. So he gets 1.6 his points. But they have Cup, obviously, good pick. Let's see, I threw something in a tournament here. You're going to see the multipliers from the winning teams. Yeah, like look at that car, 1.95. So you might think the strategy is, and this, sorry, that's a single game. Let's go into, that's a showdown. Okay, so let's see. Did they have any? Gronk 1.45. So sometimes people will load up on multipliers too and be like, well, if they get 25 points, I'll get 50. But that doesn't happen. So check that out, SuperDraft. They do a lot of free. I've gotten tons of free tickets. And I found it somewhat easier. All right, this was my cash game lineup. I'll show you what contest I played. I'm not shy doing that at all. I didn't play a lot of money yesterday because I was kind of busy this weekend. Showdowns I'm getting better at. I did some GPPs. I do a 3 max and a single entry. Cashed in half of them. And I'll go over my tournament lineups here. But for the 50-50s, you see I did... these are all 10-man leagues. See? There's not one duplicate lineup. I found in DraftKings, if you play 100-man leagues, you're going to get tons of duplicate lineups. I got to get 2 computers or 2 monitors. Got to make sure. Yep. All right, we're rolling. Why am I dead so unprofessional? So that's just my personal thing. I think smaller, I like 3-mans where 1 wins. It's 33% chance, but I like playing against less players. So what I did yesterday, I did some 50-50s. I did a couple of head-to-heads, and then I also did like some risk, like top 5 win $5, and I actually was just missed out on that. This is 28-man top 5 win. My cash game lineup was pretty good. I'll review it in a minute. In addition to, I did a triple up, got that. Always throw my cash game in a small GPP. I feel like if I could have put this maybe in a single entry, which I should do next time. But here's my process for cash games. You want floor. I like running backs at home. I start with running backs. I always do that. I switched it up a little bit. I wanted to be a little bit different in cash games. I've been finding that a lot of us do have kind of the same builds. I think yesterday was a lot of Carson, Harris, and, Nick Chubb. So I went a little different here. I thought Ezekiel Elliott in that game with a lot of points, he was going to be involved somewhat. And not bad. I think the touchdown kind of saved you, but I looked at the price, $6,200. $6,200 is probably the cheapest we're going to see Elliott. So I kind of liked, I didn't realize they had 61, 62, 63. I didn't mind doing 2 at home. Kind of broke my rule. I knew he would be low owned. I pay down a quarterback. Burrow saved me at the end. Not great. I think if I did that over again, yeah, maybe Brady. But considering Herbert had to be kind of chalk in cash games. Oh, wow. In this 10-man league, I was the one that had Burrow, Herbert, 2 people. Brady had 3. Where did everyone go? They must have went Dak. Yep. Dak was 3. But you see in the smaller league here, if you hit on one guy, and I think in the reason I was pretty high in this 10 was because I had Elliott at 10%. I only owned Burrow. I only owned Elliott. Then at the 20s, look at Allen Robinson who scored. But everything else is chalky. Kupp, Allen, and Harris. So, I did that, and then I was absolutely playing Kupp this week. I figured the targets. That's what I'm buying for cash games. That's why Allen, Kupp, and Allen Robinson, who didn't have a great game, dropped the touchdown from Fields, but did score. So that really saved me. It's interesting. Allen not scoring, but the bonus saved me. This touchdown really saved. And then I thought Fant would have a lot more targets, but the touchdowns really saved me in my cash games. Look at 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8. If you get 10 touchdowns, regardless of who they come from, in cash games, you're cashing. So, and I like this lineup. Let's go to my FanDuel cash game. I had a great success in this. So on FanDuel, I don't mind playing bigger cash game sizes. For some reason, in the 100-man leagues, in the 50-man leagues, in FanDuel, and I had a great score. Man, I threw that in the 5-cent GPP. I wish I threw it in another GPP, the Millionaire, which I did cash in the Millionaire. One of my lineups cashed. I played a lot of the 5 cents. I know I had a Tannehill. Yeah, I had a Tannen. Well, no, that one didn't cash. The Herbert, Henry. This one cashed. But let's go with the cash game, which my best lineup was my cash game lineup. Kind of a weird weekend, and I won all my cash games with the exception of this head-to-head. Just went simple. $10 cash game, then played some GPPs. Went more heavier in the GPPs, and this was my lineup construction. I felt like it was easier on FanDuel. I like Chubb at home, Harris at home, Carson at home. That's where I built first. And then the guys I wanted to play. I wanted a piece of this game. The Dallas Charger game didn't shoot out, but they were going to be chalk. So that's the good thing about this. In cash games, even though these guys didn't have, Herbert and Lamb weren't great, but they were more than 50% owned. But that was my process, was the 3 home running backs that I liked, that I thought were in good spots. Not just because they were home. I liked Carson at home. I liked Harris at home. He scored. This really helped. They all scored, and Chubb, the big favorite. And then I started with Lamb, wanted the piece of the Dallas game. I think I went the build, put in my 3 running backs, went with Lamb, and then Herbert, because I wanted a piece of that. I figured that against the defense, which he had. I mean, look at 31 to 41, but 2 picks out of 10 incompletions. And then I wanted Kupp. So these were kind of where I was going. And then I was surprised. I'm like, I have room for, Diggs, who I thought would be low owned, with some upside. And that's what I'm trying to do in my cash games. I'm trying to mix it up. Like, I don't think you should go super floor, but don't go nuts. Like, play. I think it really helped me this weekend. I had like a couple guys that were kind of under-owned in cash games, but have, Diggs' floor is not bad. And I'm surprised he was only 19%. And then I was surprised that I was still able to get Waller at his price and then plug in Buffalo, which, Buffalo was my second highest score. So that's how I did that. Go to my lineup that won in the millionaire that cashed. Only $8, but I could just show you what my thought process was. Double stack of Mike Williams. I went with Jared Cook, trying to get different in that game. I thought maybe that, that game didn't shoot out. This is what happens. This is why sometimes you have to go away from those games that are going to be so highly owned. And what was the winning lineup? Probably had Cousins. No, it had, of course, Kyler Murray, who was 12%. And they did this just with a skinny stack, which means you stack just with one. And I think he did the skinny stack because I imagine he wanted to play Hopkins. Now, he didn't run this stack back with anybody because I think it was too expensive. And when I was building, I noticed that if you went with that stack, and I have a build with Murray, Hopkins, and I even had more and ran it back with Jefferson or Thielen, you ended up being crappy here with Hunt and Edmonds. So you could see what he was thinking. I really wanted to play, I'm speaking for him, I want Henry in my lineup. I want Harris in my lineup. Well, really Henry. So I'm going to go skinny stack. I'm going to secondary stack of Lockett and Henry. He went with just the secondary stack. Didn't do a run back with his stack of Murray and Moore. Pittsburgh alone. Kupp wanted a piece of the Charger game. Pitts there, good. And then Bills, who were really, low owned. So what I process was, I thought Pittsburgh at home, I like that. They were low owned with Harris. I did my double stack of Herbert with Williams and Cook, and I ran it back with Lamb. Just didn't work out. And then solo there, I did another secondary stack of Tennessee and Seattle, but I took Metcalf instead of Tyler Lockett, who was less owned. Big difference, though. Look at it. Geez. 91 points. A lot of points away from the top. I tried kind of this was kind of, this is not a good build. I tried something different. So I could see, I went with a Tannehill Henry stack just to be a little bit different. With A.J. Brown, ran it back with Lockett. But this is where spending up made me have to play Kareem Hunt. Liked having Diggs in there. Waller just didn't, and I did a secondary game of Claypool and Waller. Just did not work out. All right. So that's my my week 2. That was my GPP. Let's go over one of my GPPs in DraftKings that I liked. Some of the scores were ridiculous this week. This was in the 3 max. Murray with Moore. Let's see the winning at 218. He went Murray and Hopkins. This is interesting. He went Murray, Hopkins, and still won this 3 max. Oh, that's not the right one. I don't know what's doing that. So go to... Why is it doing my 109.28? Oh, there we go. Duh. So this was... this is the second week in a row, by the way, I've had the right quarterback in my in the millionaire lineup. Last week I had Mahomes. This week Murray. Murray's, I think, becoming a must play every week now. It's just ridiculous. But see, this is where I don't take my own advice. This is getting too cute here. These were kind of home runs. I think maybe in in a 150-man entry, you do this. But I think in a 3 max, you don't need to. This is a great play because they're a huge favorite, right? I didn't even think of playing him. I don't know why. Huge favorites are good for GPPs at that price. But you can see the thought process both on DraftKings and FanDuel. I want to get Kyler Murray and Derrick Henry in my lineup. How do I do that? Well, I can't go double stack this week. Sometimes maybe you have to break the rules. I didn't. I stayed with but I still think I could have won this, even with this double stack. I ran it back with Jefferson, who was okay. He decided not to because I think Derrick Henry was the key this week. He kind of eliminated double stacks. So this is the skinny stack of Murray to Hopkins. Did not run it back with anybody. Doesn't look like he stacks, your defense. There's a correlation running back to defense. He did not have a second game stack either. Used Hooper. He had some, look at this. He had a couple of the snowflakes. T. Higgins. This is a good lineup. My process here was I wanted the Arizona-Minnesota game. I did a secondary game of Dallas and the Chargers. I had Williams. Jarwin was not, but not horrible considering, look at this is almost a wash here. The big difference was Derrick Henry. I played Derrick Henry, instead of, somebody, Jefferson here, somebody. And came down on, Hunt to Henry. And we're talking, 58 points. Puts me at 207. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. Fun week, though. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching the stream, and I'll keep these all week.